What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW videos. We have had such a busy week in Pokemon Go. I would say that Armored Mewtwo stole a lot of the attention the past couple of days, but there was an announcement officially by Pokemon Go talking about new moves being added into the game, and this is always something that is worth revisiting over time. And specifically today, we will be talking about the top Fairy-type Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Fairy-type Pokemon have needed a buff for quite a bit of time, and not necessarily related to the stats or anything like that, but the simple fact that there wasn't a Fairy-type quick move until now where we have the move Charm being added in. This is a huge deal because there are some solid Fairy-type Pokemon that can compete with other Pokemon types when they're both super effective against the same thing. So this is a huge deal, but I want you to go ahead and take a look at this graphic and tell me, is there something interesting on here that you think is worthy of a deep dive? I can already tell you that I am 100% going to be covering Moltres with Wing Attack, and then of course I'll check out Ancient Power as well. But if there is something else that you think is deserving, let me know in the comments section below. But regardless of that, I'm ready to go ahead and get into it. So first things first, when we talk about just fairy typing in general, fairy type will be super effective against 3 different types. We've got the dark type, dragon, and then fighting. I'll go ahead and run some simulations and show you the results versus all 3 of them, but you have to keep in mind that we don't necessarily have a good combination of like multiple typings of this. For example, currently we don't have like a fighting dragon type where it will be ×4, and versus like dragon and flying types, you're gonna have to compete against ice types, which we will talk about. You're gonna see how they're definitely going to hold on to that. But we do have a Pokemon coming out in Generation 5 called Hydreigon, and Hydreigon is a dark dragon type Pokemon. So you are going to want to hold on to your fairy type Pokemon and then of course use that for Generation 5. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The first one that we're going to take a look at is versus Absol, a pure dark type Pokemon. I'm expecting a lot of fighting types as well, but hey, we've got the fairy type being included in here now. So go ahead and take a look at some of these results. We've got Gardevoir in at the number 5 spot, so definitely an upgrade from this regard for the simple fact that we do have that charm move added in. We're going down a little bit further, we see Togekiss in at the number 8 spot, and then finally we're going to run into Grandal, which is definitely cool. I'm actually a big fan of Grandal, especially related to its design, so it is nice to see it actually showing up on some of the graphs and it not just being one of those Pokemon that's like a Pokédex entry, so that's pretty cool. So speaking of that, we can go ahead and check out some raid results versus Latios. So Latios being a dragon type, it will end up being weak to that fairy typing, and when we go ahead and scroll down, the results are kind of interesting in this case because we don't end up seeing fairy type Pokemon until you go fairly far down. But the reason why I brought this up is because when you go into a Pokemon like Rayquaza, where it is dragon type as well as flying type and it's double weak to ice type, you're seeing nothing but ice types, and then you're seeing dragon types, and so the fairy type just does not have a chance in relation to that. So of course we do have Gardevoir in at the number 13 spot, and then we've got Togekiss following suit. So you're kind of seeing a pattern related to how these Pokemon are performing, and then we've got Grandal bringing up the rear. So we've pretty much just seen those 3 kind of repeated over and over again. I wanted to showcase an interesting situation versus Machamp as a fighting type Pokemon being weak to fairy, but also being weak to psychic as well as flying. And the reason why that's interesting is because we're going to see a case where we've got Gardevoir in at the number 8 spot as well as Togekiss following behind it. But here's the interesting thing. We're going to end up seeing Confusion as the better moveset for Gardevoir as opposed to the new move Charm. That simply means that Charm is not as good as Confusion, and since Confusion is super effective versus Machamp, it's going to do better as well as getting stat benefit, so you're just adding a lot of things on top of it, so it will be difficult to compete. Togekiss in at the number 9 spot, followed by Grandal. Yeah, so we're pretty much seeing a theme between the 3, and I thought for fun, something else that we could do is take a look at a pure dragon type Pokemon and just see how it ends up working out, where that way ice type isn't going to get priority because it won't be double super effective. So if we go ahead and check this out, you're going to end up seeing a lot of dragon type Pokemon. But besides Dragon-type Pokemon kind of sprinkled in there, once again, we've got Gardevoir, Togekiss, and then Grandal once again. So these three Pokemon have definitely gotten an upgrade in regards to their performance. When I went ahead and took a look at PvP, there ended up not being anything too significant to add to the overall picture for the Fairy-type Pokemon, besides the simple fact that they will have that stab benefit, a new Fairy-type quick move added into the game. I wanted to go ahead and end the video by talking about what I believe to be the top 3, as well as some potential honorable mentions. So into the number 1 spot, we have Gardevoir. Gardevoir is easily one of the better Fairy-type Pokemon and has actually managed to find its way in some of the best raid results despite not having that charm move or that Fairy-type quick move. So now to have that is definitely an added benefit. The second position is going to go to Togekiss. Now Togekiss is actually a fairly interesting option because it is performing fairly well as just a raid attacker, but it's also not bad at gym defense, so keep that in mind. If you want to give an accent to something like a Blissey, for example, this thing is going to be resistant versus those fighting types. Fighting types don't really stand a chance versus Togekiss, specifically related to the typing, so keep that in mind. Definitely a buff in that regard. And then finally we have Grandal. Once we're getting into this 3, 4, 5 position, Grandal I think is deserving of that. I mean, we've seen it so many times being showcased. And then as far as honorable mentions are concerned, we do have a couple of Pokemon that just have access to play rough, for example, but they're really only good, or Dazzling Gleam even, they're good just because of the charge move having access to it. So something like Jirachi is not bad. Donphan, not necessarily bad. A couple of other ones that I'm sure you have run across are kind of falling into this category. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this episode. If you did, let me know in the comments section below. And don't forget to let me know what you would like for me to cover next in Pokemon Go, and I will see you next time. This is where we give a huge shout out to the patrons on Patreon. As many of you may not know, as far as YouTube content creators are concerned with smaller channels, you don't make that much money, although there is a lot of hard work that goes into it. So support on Patreon is very important to smaller creators, and I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has chosen to be a part of it.